buenos días. Hola. No voy a hablar en español porque no puedo decir más otro que buenos días o quisiera un bocadillo y un vaso de vino. So let's switch to English. To be honest, I feel really strong and I need to practice my Spanish for the next time I come to speak. Don't worry, I won't be lasting more than 10 minutes. In a way, I would like to thank you and the song so because in the last speaker, I managed to understand and to pick some of your functions and focus that are strictly related to what I went for today. The conversational point, the acceleration point also. But first of all, I would like, before telling you some actual sites that you will, I hope, find useful for the workshop and the hackathon to come, I would like first to share a kind of takeaway, a bit of advice in methodology. I know all. I run the Prospective lab for the Lefebvre group, which means that I am dedicated to the structure, the productions. I know that you have a kind of funny exercise to train more people later. And speaking of generative AI, there is obviously an issue which is new for me, probably having a bit more perspective for years, which is the pace in the acceleration. It is quite tough to spot the events, whether disruptive or the slow changing, slow evolving trends that are likely to shape the future of law, because it's obviously my main topic. The law, the way you all group it, the law we want to law, but also the way we write it, the wrong. And this first step without methodology is that obviously, because of this post, we can't make what statistics would call predictions. We have data, and out of it, we work out some models and design some beautiful reforms. To tell the industry it will evolve this way or that way. So we need to think differently, and this is my first takeaway. We need to be first very, very well trained in critical thinking, like you say, because we are kind of over young, plus default, plus teenagers. And second, we need, we find it very useful as perspective to be very creative and to be very speculative, to leverage our imagination aspect. And I think that it is very relevant when we look to find new ideas during the hackathon and to make them live and turn into actual useful products that can be integrated in the current the current form. And this is a way that there are plenty of ways to do so, but this is I think a useful tip to leverage your imagination and creativity, which is a very simple sentence, starting with what if you're already familiar with most of them, which is what happens if. But believe me, the more you are trained to think that way, the better you are in your scenarios. Okay? What happens if tomorrow AI agents are so good, so efficient that the process of writing law is fully automated? Great. Have you heard about this story about Dubai, the United Arab Emirates last week? he launched a tool. Now, it's a press release. Start with. They say that they launched a powerful tool to fully automate the process of making the law. Okay. This looks like, 2 years ago, this would have sound like rocket science. Today, I'm like, okay, I know they are investing a lot. They have huge investment in LLM, and actually some French companies are working already with the United Arab Emirates investment fund. That sounds realistic, but sorry, that's what the heck? Because fully automated law-making process, what does it mean? You have lots of ethical issues coming up, and so on and so on. What if tomorrow, as companies, we are to choose between human collaborators or AI agents? Think of LinkedIn, think of Indeed, think of Mentor. I don't know if you have a Mentor in the Chinese market. And in 2, 3, 4 years, you can just browse into some different profiles, very high speed, junior, whatever. And some are human, actual humans, and some are agents with avatar and so on. What happens in terms of, practically in your company, how do you want to make those things work together? What is the new way of collaborating? What is the future of work? Okay? So just remember this first tip. What happens this time? Let's be creative, let's be wild. Speculation and creativity are really good at defining better the issues, the new points of difference, or the new opportunity. Coming to later on, fine. Coming to the actual points I would like to share. There are 2 levels, so to speak. I will be talking about some behavioral aspects which are related to what we call the UX for your solution to consider in more attributes in the user experience, behavioral aspects of what you do with, I was about to say play, with working with AI. And the second last aspect is more about what it does to the human intelligence aspect, the brain mechanism, the cognitive processes. Okay? About the interaction, you already mentioned the smartphone, the internet revolution, and so on. You already mentioned the conversation. The first aspect about conversation is, yes, it is a stimulation form, because we are not like, when we are interacting with GPT and so on, and Claude and so on, we are not just answering instructions, right? We are talking. We are somehow chatting with the illusion of empathy and so on. But I will study that thing. But what I would like to spot here, but I don't have the answer, is that in the long term, it might change radically the interfaces as a whole. Because so now the tech industry is already talking about moving to the voice interface. You're in chat, you're in a conversation, but tomorrow, actually, you might turn into a normal conversation. So what happens in terms of the forces, in terms of collaboration and so on, if everything is in this new ecosystem? I don't have the answer, but it is worth putting questions out. Okay? The second one is the pulse, actually. Because of this pulse, because it can't think properly in a way, sorry. Just because we can't think and we can't form a process in a way that is in calling inflammation. We need to be very, very aware of how fast or how lazy we could potentially work tomorrow, because it's so easy to post gender query and get an answer. And the fact is that it might be suddenly, the fact is that you get now in seconds a very consistent answer or a very sophisticated image. And my point is that combined with some other social evolutions like what is called the lazy economy, one click, and Amazon, for example, combining those means that you might turn. Have you watched the movie Wall-E? The Pixar one. Do you remember the? Okay, you get my point. So let's be aware of it and what happens if we focus on this trend. What happens? We are more and more used to speed, real-time, instant access, instinct, and feeling important. But remember, there is something called climate change. There is something called uncertainty in all dimensions. What happens if tomorrow? What happens if tomorrow we are to deal with power outage, with flood, with all this kind of catastrophes? All right? And what happens is the younger generation, the AI native generations are not used anymore to wait for something, to be patient, to tolerate frustration and to answer. So, sorry, just one last point, which is the human intelligence thought. I did it very, very quick. So I think that you understand my point. I want to focus on the very long, grand, slow-moving evolution and new cultures we are experiencing and we are living in our gut, our brain. It might also remember the smartphone. We mentioned the smartphone. Remember our life before the smartphone. Who or where uses a phone book? Probably my mother, and post it on the fridge. Okay, but who knows by heart more than two phone numbers today? Here. One. So it means that it's a matter of, well, I did say that from Europe, indeed, when the smartphone and especially iPhone came up, we moved to a radically different way of managing our memory. We assume that it is some kind of low value, or how do you call frequent task, cognitive task, that it delegates to a device, which is at the end of our hand. It might happen the same, or it might not, for AI and AI systems. Let's watch this carefully and let's monitor this. And let's have, just my feeling, let's have, for example, one old principle at mind, which is only delegate what we already manage and master well. Why? Because otherwise we can't assess the outcome. And so that sounds example. But what's happening right now is ChatGPT and so on is the other way around. You are ready to delegate anything. I'm not talking about people in general are ready to delegate some very complex, sophisticated, critical tasks to artificial intelligence without being able to assess properly the outcome. This will be my last takeaway. Thank you all.